2016 Honda RC213V's vertical line first ride. The street bike I grew up with, photos of Grand Prix motorcycles covering my walls. Mostly 500cc two-stroke and SR Hondas, and mostly painted in Rothmans or Repsol colors. Eventually I watched my team at Duhan's dynasty come to an end, and Valentino Rossi's begin soon after. I watched Rossi dominate the field on the radical, 5-cylinder RC211V, then Nicky Hayden salvaged the world title against the odds, and now the genius of Marc Marquez take the globe by storm. What never changed was my infatuation with the machines. I love that they are cutting-edge, insanely powerful, and ultra-rare. In particular, I love that we never know just how cutting-edge or powerful they are. Being competition prototypes, the companies are under no obligation to say how the valve trains work, exactly, or how much horsepower they really produce. Not knowing adds to the mystique. And so it was with a bit of apprehension that I swung a leg over Honda's new RC213V. Was I worthy of this $184,000 slice of Motard history, or the opportunity to ride it at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia? No, of course I'm not worthy of it. But I tried not to let that or the deep and obvious concern in the eyes of the Honda Racing Corporation engineers get to me as the RCVS grumbled out of pit lane. My first experience of the Valencia circuit was on the European spec street bike, with lights and blinkers in place and just under 160 horsepower claimed at the crank. Before hitting second gear, the ultra-aggressive rider triangle was apparent. The clip-ons are at about the same height as the tall, thinly padded seat, putting lots of weight forward on the grips. Foot pegs feel high, too, as you would expect from race-derived ergonomics, but at 6'2" there was plenty of room for my legs. The TDX36 shock and gas-charged TDX25 fork suspend the RCVS, and even on the glassy smooth track the suspension feels stiff. Even with less power on tap than a current dirt bike, I eased into using the engine's potential, wary of the pedigree alone. Overall acceleration on the straights was not particularly impressive. The rev limiter cut in abruptly at around 12,200 rpm compared to a BMW S1000R or Aprilia RSV4. But low end and mid-range thrust is instantaneous. After a couple of laps I fed enough power to the ground that the dock-spec Bridgestone car's 10 rear tires started to squirm exiting corners, and it felt like I was hardly opening the throttle. An orange P light on the dash was illuminating to tell me the Honda selectable toward control red, traction control was working, then set to level 5 of 9. With a few laps under my belt I could experiment with entering corners faster and faster. And this is where the RCVS really shines. The transmission is one area where the S differs greatly from the Motard machine, utilizing the standard gearbox rather than the state-of-the-art seamless system fitted to Marquez and Pedrosa's bikes. There's no auto blip downshift either. What the RCVS does have is a sophisticated engine braking system adjustable for ways that cracks the throttle plates open during deceleration at high RPM, and slowly closes them as the revs drop. The result is ultra-smooth deceleration, even if your downshifts are clumsy and poorly timed. It doesn't hurt that the transmission is insanely easy to use, with short throws and extremely precise feedback. The brakes are also predictably amazing. Massive Brembo calipers squeeze 320mm discs, and because the bike is so light, 415 pounds wet, claimed even in street trim, it sheds speed incredibly well. When the corner does arrive, any misjudged line is easily fixed with light steering and loads of feedback from the perfectly balanced front end. The street-limited Euro-spec RCVS didn't light my hair on fire with acceleration, but it is without a doubt the most precise and direct motorcycle I have ever ridden. There is simply no way to feel as connected to every piece of the machine than to slice through a set of corners on an RC213V. The technology and philosophy, and that, not coincidentally, is exactly what Honda was aiming to accomplish. In presenting the RCVS to the media, Honda engineers and project leaders stressed that horsepower was not the goal, but rather constantly repeated that the basis of the project was to create the world's easiest machine to maneuver. In other words,